Are you stopping yourself from helping your 2-year-old for opening the water bottle cap? Or are you stopping yourself from helping your 3.5-year-old or your 3-year-old or maybe your 4-year-old to put on his or her shoelace? Are you stopping yourself from helping your child with doing something that you think that your child at that age should be capable of doing? Hello and welcome to this podcast of mine, to the PIP podcast, Parenting Through Inner Power. So, the big question today is, do you wish to raise an independent child? Are you stopping yourself from helping your child just because you think that, or maybe there's a viral article running around on the internet, and you've read it somewhere that the more and more you help a child, the more and more your child will be dependent on you. Or in the other words, if you want to raise an independent child, then you shouldn't be helping with anything that your child is capable of doing. Or this kind of milestone chart that you see all over the internet again, where a 2-year-old is supposed to be doing this, 3-year-old is supposed to be doing this, 3.5-year-old is supposed to be doing this. And just because you have seen that in this chart, your child who is a 3-year-old or a 3.5-year-old is supposed to be doing that, you feel as and when you are helping your child with that, whatever she's supposed to be doing, she won't be learning to do it on her or his own. Do you have such thoughts? Now, is there any person, is there any human, maybe somewhere in deserted areas, deserted tribes, I'm not sure, but with a generic view in your mind, is there any person who is actually living independently in this world? Do you think so? For example, suppose you had to prepare for a job interview. You prepared on your own. All the preparation was on your own. You went to the interview on your own. You just cracked it. You got very good appreciation, and you got a very good offer for your performance on your that which you seem to be feeling. You did it on your own. And you might be thinking that, yes, I did this independently. I got this independently. But let's see what happened behind the scenes. For you to be cracking that interview successfully, you were dependent on that person who gave you milk every morning, or maybe on that day, at that time, at the right time that was right for you. You were dependent on that person who gave you newspaper at the right time. You were dependent even on the person who picked trash from your house. You depend on the person who was actually riding his vehicle right in front of your vehicle, right? He was moving with a certain speed, and you are moving with a certain speed, and there's so much of alignment among all these vehicles on the road at that instance where you had to reach your destination, that yes, you were dependent on various other factors that actually led you to be at that specific place, at that specific point, at that specific time. Yes, and very importantly, you were also dependent on the traffic police that guide the traffic. You were dependent on every family member around you. Though you may feel that you do all your things on your own, there are many things that each one is actually dependent on every other person on this planet, right? Starting from the food that we eat, the water that we drink, and every other thing that you actually own. You think you own it independently, but no, there was dependency. So this world, if you see, is a beautifully interwoven entities who are interdependent on each other. They are interdependent on each other. So when your child is asking for help for something, and you are stopping yourself from helping, instead of understanding, or instead of making an attempt to understand your child, again, some amount of inferiority complex sets in your child, right? Some amount of, you can't even do this. Your brother could have done that at that age when he was younger. Oh my God, you can't eat well. You spill over things, right? Some amount of inferiority complex sets in your child's subconscious. And most importantly, because the child was blamed, your child will again subconsciously stop himself or herself from asking for help when it is most needed in his or her life. Right? Maybe sometime later, maybe when the child is 10-year-old or 12-year-old or teenager or adult life, or at any phase in his life, in her life, help is needed. The point is this, so the point is this: what do you have to understand, or what you can try to attempt to understand about your child? And in this process, even your child would be learning something about this. Is not that you have to do it independently, you have to raise an independent child, you have to you should not be asking for help anywhere around, right? People will look down upon you if you ask for help. People will mock you, saying, oh, you don't even know how to do that, right? No, we're not here to pass on that kind of impression, that fear to our child. You are not here to pass on that fear to your child. So what is it that you got to understand in this journey of being with your child when your child is actually asking for help and you have some kind of mixed thoughts? Is that any person given any task or taking up any task, any challenge, you, me, the child, or any other elderly person, be it of any age, anybody out there, given any task, we're supposed to be understanding what that task is, right? And then maybe chunk it down and then assessing how much of this task can I do on my own, right? Do I have knowledge to do it? Do I have the skill to do it? Can I do it on my own? How much of this task can I just do with the information that I have in my mind, with the ability that I have within myself, and just do it? And most importantly, how much of this task should I ask help for? Maybe I don't know how to do this, so I think I need help here. You see, adults of this age, even to figure out this simple stuff, though it is simple, it has become so challenging. We just don't know what we can figure out and what we cannot figure out, and we end up spending more time and getting more confused in things that we actually cannot figure out or actually cannot control. Right? We need help with something, we can take help. But because asking for help was mocked upon, because asking for help was seen to be as inferiority, right? People are not used to asking for help. Or it's the other way around, it's the extreme. Or there are some people who are kind of always asking for, I don't say always, but again, given any task, suppose there's a new term that's there, some things that they can do is just research upon those new terms and then process the information that they've got, and then the follow-up questions that they have after their research, they can put forward and ask the other people about it. So the other extreme of the people at the other extreme, what they tend to do is they do not even take an effort to research on the new term or given any task, right? They can't even, I'm just giving you examples of real-time examples. You can just look into your own self or experiences that you have with people. There are people of two extremes. One extreme is people who don't feel good to ask for help. The other extreme is people who just don't spend any effort in finding information for themselves, assessing the information, and then come up with follow-up questions to ask for help, and they just keep hanging around people, right? So what do you wish your child to do, to be, right? So going back to the task that we have in our hand. So given any task, given any challenge, what you got to assess is, chunk it down. How much of it can I do on my own? How much of it do I need help with, right? This itself is a big thing. Knowing that you need help with this is a first milestone. Okay, I'm not sure if it's a first, but it is a big milestone. Yes. So after this, knowing who is the right person to ask help, to ask appropriate help for. Even this people are struggling with in this day and age, right? Because again, we've been trained, we've been listened to such to such laughs and mocks when children are asking for help, or comparison, right? Comparison with other people, siblings, other friends, and all of that stuff. So how much can we do how much can I do with the information that I have and with the ability that I have? How much should I need, how much of the task do I need help with? And who is the right person to ask help for? And what is the right way that I can put forward this request or this help to that person, right? That is the way I can communicate in clear terms so that I will get back the appropriate help. There is no miscommunication, all of that stuff, right? And this is a process. This is a process. There is a journey that one needs to go through, and that is the reason children are given experiences where they are halfway through. They know they can do it. Sometimes they deny other parents' help or other person's help. Sometimes they need help, right? That is the reason children are given such experiences by their life, by universe, so that they will start to understand their abilities, the information that they already have, their abilities, and also understand that what help they need, what kind of help they need from which person, and all of that stuff, right? That is a nature's way of teaching things to humans, or maybe even to the other species. Let's just talk about humans here, right? That is a nature's way of teaching how to live to humans. If you want to go against this and start comparing your child, start abusing your child, labeling your child, judging your child, right? Shaming your child. Oh, you can't even do this. Yeah, right? A 2-year-old gets a bottle of the little. You can do this. Yes, try again. Yeah, turn it this side a little harder. Yes, you can do it. No. Your child would not have asked your help if your child could have done it again. It also depends on the previous experiences that have happened between you and your child, most importantly. Are you keeping your child close to his or her intuition, or are you constantly bombarding your child with the labels, shames, guilts, blames, and all of this stuff so much that your child is drawn away from his or her intuition? Do not ever underestimate the power of one's intuition. And when I say parenting through inner power, your inner power is your intuition. Once you start to trust your intuition, that is when you start to trust your child's intuition. That even the first step is that your child, yes, you have an intuition, is the first milestone. You listening to your intuition, and then yes, your child also has an intuition, has a guiding force. And yes, your child actually trusts the intuition. Even an infant trusted his intuition. Yes. And then yes, I can be with my child through this process, through this journey where my child is trusting his or her intuition. So now coming back to the topic, to the main topic. So if you have ever wished to raise an independent child, or if you have ever stopped yourself from helping with trivial things, with the default things that the child is actually asking help for, just see what you are actually doing at this moment. What are you doing to your child? What kind of parenting, like, are you using more of shames, blames, judges, labels, or are you like putting down this inferiority complex over your child, or pulling him down or something like that? Or are you overdoing stuff? Right? I'm not the one who is actually suggesting, okay, you have to help with everything that the child is able to do or is asking you to do, or do not help with anything that your child actually can do. No, I am not the one who is actually suggesting you to do any of these. It is you, it is your intuition who will guide you at that moment as to what your child is asking for, what his emotions are at that moment. Maybe he's already tired and he just doesn't want to do it, right? Maybe you were tired and you asked your spouse to get a glass of water, to get a glass of juice, right? So people around you, adults around you, do not say, no, you've got to be independent with all your tasks, right? Everything, the physical actions actually depend even on our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, the same stuff that you kind of are listening to every episode in my podcast series. So something that you got to be aware of is understand where your child is coming from, not just in the physical plane, but in the inner plane, the hidden plane. Okay, and then understanding where your child is coming from, understand where you are, even understand your emotions, that is also important. Don't neglect your emotions. And then bridging the gap, and then doing the appropriate action that you feel at that point of time, right? So the next time your child is asking you for something, just be aware of all these pointers and let me know anything that you've done differently, right? In the next experience that you have, the next interaction that you have with your child. And there is a link in the description given below. You can just go to that link, book your free seat for my upcoming masterclass and meet me live there. Cheers, take care, bye bye.